Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with Margaret Seiler, managing editor at Portland Monthly, about her car-free off-season guide to Hood River and the surrounding area. Even at its quietest, Margaret thinks Hood River has plenty going on for a weekend trip. And she's got a list of places we should check out, including a bookstore that boasts art so bad they don't allow you to take pictures inside. It's Thursday, February 26th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. You know, Margaret, while reading your article, I couldn't help but notice how many trivia nights you hit while you were staying in Hood River. More than I think a conventional tourist would seek out or participate in. Pretty sure you went to all of them. But then I learned you were a contestant on Jeopardy back in 2008, and it kind of all made sense. I know you're here to share the winter Hood River recommendations, and we set you up for that. But can you first talk about your appearance on Jeopardy? What was that like?
Yeah.
Did you win it all? What kind of snacks are in the green room? These are the questions.
I did not win, unfortunately. The returning champion kind of had a lock on it. So it didn't matter that I didn't know the final Jeopardy clue, but I think that was an easier way to lose. A lot of people, it'll have been close, and if they had just answered one question differently, you know, they feel like their whole life would have changed. And so it's definitely a lot easier. If you're going to lose on Jeopardy, I highly recommend losing by a really solid amount so that you're not tortured over that one thing that you didn't know.
What could have been if I knew?
But I also, I was about 6 or 7 months pregnant when I was on Jeopardy. So they were really, really cautious around me, wanted to make sure I had enough to eat, that I didn't fall. I don't think they wanted the pregnant lady suing them for anything. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of also nice, because then when people I hadn't seen for a long time reached out, it wasn't, oh, I'm sorry you lost. It was, oh my God, I didn't know you were pregnant. So it was a really nice way to get the word out.
Nice little blinder, yeah. That's amazing. That also is like, what a dramatic reveal, I guess. What a intricate and dramatic reveal, Margaret.
Oh, it was all planned, years in advance.
I would have been like, this was actually how I wanted you to find out. That's so cool. Okay, back to why you're actually here. I know the original game plan for your trip was to explore the public transit bus lines that connect Portland to Mount Hood. So Hood River was just going to be a pit stop for you to go cross-country skiing. But that didn't really pan out because the mountains still hadn't gotten any snow. And because of that, now we have a pretty cool guide of stuff to check out in Hood River during the off-season. To start, where did you end up staying?
I stayed at a new hotel called the Lightwell. I think it had just opened last fall. And a Lightwell is in a building, especially an urban building. It would be the kind of empty space that goes down the middle that gives more windows and lets in a little more natural light, or often has the HVAC in it. So this hotel is named for its Lightwell. I had windows that looked out to the mountains and the river. So I wasn't just looking out at the rest of the building or the little interior courtyard, but it was right downtown, very convenient, lots of things to walk to. Had a lovely hot tub in the basement.
Oh, nice. I've never stayed overnight Hood River just because it's so close.
Yeah. There are several hotels that are right downtown. It's not the only one.
Well, let's talk about food and drinks. My go-to when I'm in Hood River, because again, Hood River always is some sort of like, you stop there to finish the Fruit Loop. You stop there to maybe jump over to the other side of the gorge or to continue to Mount Hood. So Freem for me is always just like, oh, it's there. It's going to be open. I know what to get there. Mm-hmm. But when you went, because it's considered the off season, they were closed for renovations. So what other places should we check out if Freem is closed?
Well, if you're thinking about Freem, then you definitely know that Hood River is a big beer town. So I went to, I think, not even half of the breweries that I could have gone to, just because, you know, a person can only fit so much in their tummy, I guess. Mm-hmm. But right near Freem, there is a place called Ferment that's also right on that kind of newly developed waterfront. And so they have, you know, beer, food, beautiful views.
Oh, I know that area. Mm-hmm. It's where you can see the people like do their wind
Their wind
surfing.
surfing and everything. Yeah, it's a good view of that. Not a lot of that happening in January when I went,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a little chilly. And also kind of right downtown, right near where I was staying, there's Double Mountain Brewing, there's Full Sail Brewing, a few I didn't make it to, like Kings and Daughters and Spinning Wheels.
Mhm.
And then up the hill, so not the kind of downtown part that's right off the highway, but up the hill is another brewery brew pub that also hosted a trivia night. That was what lured me there.
Yeah.
So a lot of places to get a beer, and I ended up at Double Mountain having beer and pizza.
Oh, Double Mountain beer pizza. Okay, so Double Mountain's still a classic. I feel like a lot of
Yep.
people, I mean, that's one of the first places I heard about in Hood River was Double Mountain, and Freem was me expanding my choices.
Mm-hmm.
That was me opening my horizons. What other places are you just like, hey, if you want some food, give me your picks for Hood River that we should check out that are open right now?
That are open right now. If you just want something really quick and easy and cheap, especially if you have kids, I had a good dinner at Big Jim's Drive-In, just burger, fries, shake, kind of quick and easy. It's the second location of a place in the Dalles that took over some old burger joint in Hood River. And that's kind of up the hill out of town. So I had to take the local circulator to get up there. But still a place that you can get to on the bus. And then in town, I mean, you're not going to be able to explore every place there is to eat, even if you stayed there for a week.
There's just a lot of places.
Yeah, there's just a lot.
Yeah, I haven't gone to because I know there's a Broder's there. Was that open? Is that open for the season? That seemed very popular when I swung by, but I also went like peak fall apple Fruit Loop season. So it was a madhouse downtown. I don't think I've ever seen Hood River quiet just because of when I go,
It was just such a sleepy time when I was there. A lot of businesses had decided it was a great time to, refinish their floors or take an extended vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of places hadn't reopened after the holiday break even.
Well, you also did quite a bit of shopping while you were in Hood River. What are some of the shops you think that we should check out?
Well, Hood River has a ton of vintage shops, kind of a strange boom of vintage shops. So there are.
I noticed that a little bit, which I've not really set foot in one or done shopping because, again, just like, hello, goodbye, So tell me about them.
There's, I want to say it's Ice Cream for Crow, and it had clothes, classic weird old t-shirts, and also had records in the back, if I'm remembering correctly. They also have one of those Goodwill boutiques, which always seem alarmingly expensive. This Goodwill in Hood River had a lot of, ski and snowboard pants that were, I don't know.
Oh, of course.
Price more highly than I would get something at Goodwill for, I would say.
Goodwill has a tendency of doing that, where you're just like, you're Goodwill. You're good, what are we doing here? Yeah.
And then Hood River has a few really good bookstores. One that's just sort of a more traditional kind of elegant bookshelves full of new books. And then one that's a real jumble called Artifacts that name continues as good books and bad art. And so it just has ridiculous things on its walls. There are signs telling you not to take pictures. You kind of have to, go and experience it for yourself.
How bad is the art that they're like, please don't? I mean, I'm sure that's like a joke, but still, how bad is the art?
I mean, it's just hilariously silly.
Okay.
And they have all kinds of, fun, sassy bumper stickers and postcards and novelty gifts and things like that. And just as a used bookstore, it's a real interesting warren. So that was another place that you can easily kill a lot of time on a rainy day.
What'd you get?
I got some strange Cold War book there. I got more books when I took the bus over to White Salmon.
Yeah. Well, since you were planning on because you took the bus to Hood River and you're about to take the bus to Mount Hood, but then it was closed or snow. I just also love the idea of the mountain's closed. You can't come. But where would you have rented gear? Because that's a pretty cool idea. Mm-hmm. Where were you going to get your cross-country skiing stuff?
Well, initially, I had taken the bus from Gateway to Hood River. There's an express bus that runs several times a day. And then my original plan had been to take it the next morning up to Teacup Lake and go cross-country skiing. And there are a few places in town in Hood River that you can rent gear. Right near my hotel, there is a place called Doug's, and you can go in and rent it, in the afternoon, the day before, and you can bring it back the morning after. So that had been my initial plan, but the bus wasn't running on weekdays at the time. It was still weekend only because of the lack of snow.
Hmm.
It's now running every day. I think it's back to a full schedule since earlier in February when they finally got a good dumping.
We've actually, as a team, gone cross country skiing at Teacup, and it was so much fun. Are
Yeah.
you an avid cross country skier?
I don't do it very often, so I feel like I have to sort of relearn every time,
No, I hear you.
but I'm a pretty dedicated ice skater, so I kind of remember the moves for
So you're a woman of the snow,
a woman of the
or
snow.
ice. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, more places to check out in Mount Hood in the off season. Portland, bundle up, we're going agate hunting, and Newport is home to some of the best agate hunting on the Oregon coast. They even have a super rare and sought after variety named after them, the Newport Blue. And if you're like me and mistake every shiny rock or piece of glass for agate, don't worry, there's usually 1 to 10 unofficial experts on the aptly named Agate Beach ready to tell you what to look out for. Afterwards, you can warm up with a hot meal at local Ocean Seafoods or a South Beach Fish Market or Clearwater restaurant, all while overlooking sea lions. There is truly something for everyone in Newport. Plan your trip today at discovernewport.com/citycast. That's discovernewport.com/citycast. So you did something that I also do whenever I'm in Hood River and I'm like, we're here, let's go to white salmon. A lot of people don't know about white salmon. And the only reason I know about white salmon is because just a little bit, like 10, 15 minutes, is a winery that I'm really into called Loop De Loop. And by the way, have you been there?
I haven't been there. I've read about it and I've tried some of their wine. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're into views, I mean, you have like a view of the gorge straight down, and then you have a view of Mount Hood. It's insane. And I think, the best view of the gorge, which is like from Washington to Oregon to look down, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Magellan, discovered white salmon that way. But you took a bus over from Hood River. So I'm curious, like, what did you do? And was this your first time there? Or were you just like, yeah, white salmon?
I'd popped in once or twice. I'd kind of driven through town. I'd been to Everybody's Brewing before. I think that had been my only real previous white salmon stop. But this time I was over there in the morning. So I was looking for breakfast. So I, went to the coffee shop, went to the bakery.
The White Salmon Bakery?
The White Salmon Bakery, which, had a lot of kind of like French patisserie things and egg sandwiches and was really bustling. On a random weekday morning in the middle of the winter, there were a lot of people in there. And then around the corner from there on the kind of main drag of white salmon, and white salmon is so cute because there are white salmon painted on the like crosswalks of the street.
Yeah, it's so cute.
But there was a coffee shop called Native Cafe that had a lot of kind of like Asian inflected baked goods. So like sesame mochi donuts and gochujang cookies and things like that.
Ooh.
So I had, I think, breakfast and second breakfast, we'll say, over in white salmon.
Nice. So what I normally do is I get a sandwich to go at Feast Market and Delicatessen just because it's solid. And usually when I'm there, it's because I'm like, we're going to go drink wine. And so I'm like, let's bring some portable food.
Yeah.
Or there's the Canyon Wall hike, which I love. Have you been to that hike? It's so good.
No.
It's for like mountain bikers. Love it. So you are sharing the strip with mountain bikers, but there's other hikes that you can take where you're not constantly just like, on your left, you're not constantly hearing that. But it's just such a sweet little place. There's also supposed to be a really nice cocktail bar there that I have not gone to, but I'm really curious about, called Gander and Goose. Have you been there?
That was recommended to me by some people I sat next to at trivia night the night before. That came highly recommended. Unfortunately, I was just in white salmon at the wrong time of day to test out that recommendation, but maybe next time.
I was going to say, Margaret, you had a duty, but then I was like, it's 11 a.m. You're a journalist, Margaret. You could have had an old-fashioned for the rest of us. Well, this whole trip was going to be you exploring, I think it's called the Gorge Pass, right? Which is like a few lines kind of combined. You mentioned one, like there's the Columbia Access Transit. I just made that up, by the way.
Columbia Area Transit. I think another
there we go.
is maybe MATS. They all have cute little names, the Mount Adams Transportation Service. But you can get to, it takes some planning, but you can get to the Dalles. It does include that bus that I didn't get to take that goes from Hood River up to Mount Hood Meadows and Teacup Lake. You can get to White Salmon and Bingen. You can get to Stevenson, Washington, and it will cover routes all the way up to Goldendale as well. And it's $40 for a year, $20 for kids. I think one of its most popular chunks is that Portland to Multnomah Falls route. Multnomah Falls, sometimes there are reservations, there's parking. It's kind of an ordeal. And so just if someone else drives you and drops you off,
100, yeah.
What a treat to not have to worry about all of that.
Yeah, I feel like the Gorge Pass, if you're a big Multnomah Falls, hiker, you're into that, I feel like that alone makes sense because every time I drive by there, or I'm driven by there, I'm just like, oh, no way. Yeah. Like, no, thank you.
Or isn't there one of those illuminated signs on the highway like, Multnomah Falls parking full, don't even try?
I know. You're just like, ugh. I mean, I stopped going the moment that, like, Multnomah Falls parking moved. Do you know what I mean? Like, it did this thing where you're like, you have to take a little bus here and all these things. I like, haven't gone since because I'm like, I don't understand, man. Yeah. I'm like, I'm too old for this.
Like, I have to research to, like, just go there.
I know. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything you didn't get to that you plan on doing next time? Like, is this something that you're like, hey, this was worth the adventure? What are you going to do next time? I mean, aside from like cross-country skiing, aside from like actually doing that.
Well, there's like a Hood River County History Museum that just from peering in the window looked kind of cool. But it's closed all winter. I think it's closed for like 3 months for the season.
Dang it.
So that's something I could check out. There was a climbing gym in an old church that looked like it would be a fun stop. I think they had a stained glass window that's the Rock of Ages, like the person sort of crawling up, clinging to the cross in the stormy sea that had been kind of repurposed to be like climbing a rock.
Yeah. Was there like a little chalk bag that they added?
So I only walked past that when it was closed. But that could be something to try out. And then other times of year, it's just a whole different story. While I was waiting in between buses, I chatted with somebody about swimming holes, places his grandmother recommended that, another time of year I could check out.
Oh, wow. Is there anything else that you're like, oh, I wanted to mention this and you didn't get to because I didn't ask?
No, just, again, you did kind of allude to it, Hood River, strange trivia hotbed. But I think that was just something that I really liked about being in Hood River in the off-season, that there's a sense of there being a lot of community gathering when the town is sort of quiet and sleepy and just locals and not overrun by tourists. And so those trivia nights were absolutely packed, even if the rest of the town was really sleepy. I think the one at Double Mountain, they only do in the winter.
Oh, interesting.
As sort of a way to bring more people in. Because if you've ever been there in the summer, they don't need to bring more people in because they're Double absolutely Mountain. Swarmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were things you can kind of only do if you're there on an overnight. If you're just going out for the day on the bus, it's a lovely day trip. But I think the last bus back to town leaves at like 5:30 or 6. So
you might get a room at the Lightwell.
Yeah. So it was a real treat to kind of be there for more than just a day trip, which is what I historically had only ever gone to Hood River for. Or, as you said, a stop on your way to or from somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, you really did change my mind about it. That's why I was like, wait, what am I going to do if I stay there? Because it sounds really cute. Like, you sold it even in the off season. Oh, last question though, were you a ringer? Did you go in and just clear house? Were you just like that like cowboy that goes in and like, and then you walk into the saloon and everyone's like, who's this? And then you just take all their money. Is that what happened, Margaret?
Playing solo. What is the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But I think trivia, you need
more people.
It's good to have a team. I think I might have tied for first on points at one of them, but then lost the tiebreaker. And the
Not
other
bad
one,
doing it alone.
I don't think I even placed. But a great thing about that is I could have joined another team at a event like that. You're kind of guaranteed to talk to or interact with somebody. It's a really nice thing to do when you're exploring a place by yourself.
That's a good tip. Yeah. Well, appreciate your time, Margaret. Thank you so much. We're going to link to your article. I found it really fun to read. And I hope that you do get to go back and you get your cross-country skiing in.
All right. Thank you so much, Claudia.
And now for some events happening this week. Every Thursday on the show, we like to bring you a few recommendations to help you plan your weekend, and here's what we got. Tonight at the No Fun Bar in the Buckman neighborhood is the Northwest Loop Fest, a music festival that highlights the wide range of music that can be made using looping technology. The festival is part of a larger international series holding similar shows in 30 countries worldwide, which is pretty cool. And speaking of festivals, on Saturday, Pals on Hayden Island is holding the first annual Oregon Oyster Festival, and it's going through Sunday. There will be classes, cocktails, dinners, and of course, oysters. It looks amazing. And if you're a Swiftie fan and love wine, Hip Chicks Do Wine in Southeast Portland is hosting Eras in a Glass, a Taylor Swift wine pairing, which honestly sounds like so much fun. I would love more music-themed wine pairings. If you'd like an earlier look at our event picks, sign up to become a CityCast Portland member. You also get member-only perks like event invites, ad-free listening, and so much more. Head over to membership.citycast.fm for all the details. And for even more local news and events, sign up for our daily newsletter or hit up our website at portland.citycast.fm. I'll throw a link for all of this in the show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this show, share it with a friend or rate and leave us a good review. It really helps us out. And don't forget, you can support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm for all the details. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you with Slims.